facing this.
Question number 8, Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Deputy Prime Minister and asks, does he agree with the Expert Advisory Group on Solutions to Child Poverty that the available evidence overwhelmingly supports greater investment in the early years of a child's life?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, I agree that the early years of life are crucial for a child's development, but there isn't evidence that overwhelmingly supports any investment of any sort in the early years of a child's life. If a particular program can improve outcomes for children and is cost effective, then the government looks very closely at that and indeed has initiated a significant number of programs which it believes fulfil that criteria, such as lifting child immunisation rates to now record levels, applying a great deal of time and resource to protecting our most vulnerable children from violence, and reaching out to those families who find it most difficult to access early childhood education. There is considerable other government investment in the early years through maternity services, child health services, social housing, Family Start, and of course through extensive income support paid to parents.
Supplementary question, Jacinda Ardern.
Why does the Deputy Prime Minister oppose greater income support for parents in the first year of their baby's life?
The Honourable
Well,
Bill
Mr.
English.
Speaker, it depends which parents, of course, because some of those who thought Labor meant they would get $60 a week have actually found out that they won't get $60 a week, and the Labor Party hasn't yet fronted up, to be honest, to parents about its program.
Order.
Speaker,
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that you have the Minister address the question. He's begun talking about what he believes to be the Labor Party's policy. The question was a direct question to him about his view, and he hasn't actually even come to that at all.
I'm going to ask Jacinda Ardern to repeat the question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why does the Deputy Prime Minister oppose greater income support for parents in the first year of their baby's life?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, we don't in principle oppose greater income support. What we support is effective, cost-effective interventions, particularly for those children who are most vulnerable. For instance, too many of our children are subject to violence. Paying cash to their parents won't necessarily fix that. In fact, if that was the solution, then the Working for Families package would have fixed the problem. But in fact, the government, led by Honourable Paula Bennett, is putting a significant effort and resource into reorganising the way government can protect our most vulnerable children from violence, and there are some early signs of success. But if more money for parents was the solution, there would be no violence against children in New Zealand.
Supplementary question, Jacinda Ardern.
Why does he support paid parental leave but not the Best Start payment?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, because I'm still trying to work out what the Best Start payment is and who would get it. But I have come to the conclusion I know the policy better than the Leader of the Labor Party, David Cunliffe.
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I think you'll find it was a very straight question to the Deputy Prime Minister.
And I thought the member got a very straight answer. Does the member have further supplementaries? Supplementary question, Jacinda Ardern.
Why does he agree with the principle of universalism for our New Zealand superannuation, but not for the first year of a baby's life?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the fact is that New Zealand has had debates about both of those things, and having found myself and my party on the wrong side of that debate, we know New Zealanders strongly support universal provision for superannuitants. That's the result of 20 or 30 years of vigorous political discussion. In the case of support for children, our opinion and that of the New Zealand public, I think, is the same. Parents raising children who need more cash get extensive support from the taxpayer. But I repeat again, the biggest gains to be made are for our most vulnerable children, not for those who are in households of parents earning $150,000.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Has the Deputy Prime Minister received any reports of investment in the first year of a child's life being taken away?
Mr Speaker,
Bill English.
Yes, I understand there is a proposal to scrap the parental tax credit, which pays up to $1,200 to families of newborn babies who are on a low and middle income, aren't on a benefit and don't receive paid parental leave. Around 15,000 families get the parental tax credit. That's about a quarter of all families with a newborn child. So under the proposal, a quarter of all families would lose $1,200 in the first year of their child's life. This is just one of a number of omissions from the speech of the Labor Party leader, David Cunliffe. He wouldn't tell the parents the truth.
Order. I will not accept any member interjecting with that interjection across the House.
The last person who did that.
Supplementary question. Order. Supplementary question, Jacinda Ardern.
Can the Deputy Prime Minister tell the House how much better off parents who currently receive the parental tax credit will be when they all receive the Best Start payment as Labor has proposed?
Order. Well, I struggle to see how the Minister has responsibility for that, but Honourable Bill English can...
Mr Speaker, it's hard for us to know, but I can say this. If the Labor Party leader had stated the case correctly, he would have said about 1/3 of parents will get $60 a week for the first year of a child's life, and around 15,000 will get about $23, not $60. And I don't know why he didn't tell them the truth in his speech.
Point of order.
The very straightforward question. I asked the Deputy Prime Minister what the difference was between the two, and he didn't even attempt to answer that question.
It was doubtful whether the question was in order, where the member's effectively asking the Minister to then comment on a proposed party policy by the Labor Party. Point of order, Grant Robertson.
The difficulty with that, with your ruling, Mr Speaker, is that the supplementary question asked by Tim McIndoe invited the Deputy Prime Minister to comment at some length on the Labor Party policy, which he did without interruption. He got it wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about, but he still did it.
Order. The member makes a reasonable point, but I didn't rule the question out of order. I left the question there to be answered, and in my opinion, the Minister has addressed the question. Supplementary question, Te Urarawa Flavel.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Kia ora tātou. Mr Speaker, to the Deputy Prime Minister, does he agree with the children consulted by the Expert Advisory Group on Poverty about the importance of children being able to play with friends even if they are poor? And if so, what support can government provide to ensure free leisure and recreational activities are available, especially in disadvantaged neighbourhoods?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the government has helped fund around 30,000 places on holiday programs for children who would fit that definition. And I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the persistent advocacy of the Maori Party through the Ministerial Committee on Poverty for exactly that group of children, and a number of the initiatives the government has taken up have been at the proposition of the Maori Party.
Supplementary
question, Jacinda Ardern.
Supplementary to the Deputy Prime Minister. How positive exactly has the National Party polling on the Best Start package been to justify the ongoing attack against Labor and this policy?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, as far as I'm aware, there's no polling on the Bad Start package. there's no point in asking people about the package because they don't know what it is. And that is because the leader of the Labor Party doesn't know what it is. And I'm sure when he makes it clear, the public will then understand, and then it may be worth asking them. But the member may have noticed that on the stuff poll, the comments were probably a good deal more negative than she anticipated.
Supplementary question, the Honourable... Order! The Honourable Annette King has every right to ask a supplementary question.
I'm so pleased that they welcome my question, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. To the Deputy Leader, does the government... Just wait a minute, Mr. Joyce, I'll get it out.
Order. Can we just have the question?
It's not about you, Stephen. Does...
Order. I've given the chance for the Honourable Annette King to ask a supplementary question.
Does the government support an antenatal policy?
Point of order. The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. On 2 occasions now, members of the opposition have remained on their feet while you have stood. Now, you were very clear in the House yesterday that when you stood, we all had to sit down. I called out across the House and was told to get stuffed. But you might have better chance.
Order. 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 I'm just checking whether the member picked up the point of order. The House will settle down. I've given a supplementary question option. The Honourable Anne Tolley.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Deputy Leader. Does the government support an antenatal policy which would require DHBs to book the majority of pregnant women for an antenatal assessment by 10 weeks gestation, as recommended in a recent Health Select Committee report?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's like a lot of propositions to do with supporting our families and children. There's merit in it. The question is, does it balance up as the highest priority for the most and particularly for the most vulnerable children? And often we find that these good ideas, like giving $60 a week to families on $150,000, have some merit, but the real problems are with those who are most vulnerable. So our priority for antenatal checks would be to ensure that those mothers who find the most difficulty accessing health because, for instance, have a transitory lifestyle would be the top priority, because that is where you get the return on a significant investment.
Question number 9, Jackie Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.